First, giving honor and glory to God, who is the head of my life. It is only because of him that I live, move, and have my being. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. This is Shantara. I pray that you are well, doing amazing, feeling amazing, holding on to hope and faith, you guys. I wanted to talk about some things that happened prior to my mom passing and how we grew up. And now that I know how a lot of things that happened to us in the past and growing up from a little girl before I was 15 being with my mom, that fly is pissing me off. One single fly. How it affected me and some of the cycles and things and the things that I'm breaking. I just thank God for my platforms because they are healing me, if nobody else. So glory be to God for that. But I wanted to say that, there are some things that my mom, said, or, cliches, or, different things that she just said because it was what was said to her. And that's what they were doing, the generation before her and the generation before her. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times we can't even get mad about the different things that came up and and the way things went down, because you're only doing what they did before you. And they're only doing what they did before them. And they're only doing what happened and what was said before them. And so now you approach this generation now, and there are certain people who are raised up and say, okay, this is not what I want to do. I know that you guys were doing this the generation before and the generation before and the generation before, but now that it's here and I have my own life experiences, I have my own, ways of thinking, I have my own mind, I have my own personality, I have my own character. This is what I no longer want to do, and it ends with me. It ends with me. I can look back over and I can see the different things and the different consequences and, whatever, and I want to do things different. So when we were growing up and we lived with my mom, I told you there were 4 sisters, but 3 of us always lived together. She was the type of mom who felt like, I was always bullied because I was always the biggest and I was always the tallest. I stand 6'1" right now today. She felt like words didn't hurt you. Words couldn't hurt you. Like, why are you so upset at school? You know what I'm saying? You better not hit this person unless they hit you first. Like, as long as you don't believe the stuff that they're saying, it shouldn't matter to you. Like, words don't hurt. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? After being talked about for so long and after hearing this for so long, you know what I'm saying? Words are hurting me. It is hurting. And so I always said that if I had kids, I wanted my kids to be validated with the way that they feel and let them know that words do hurt. Sometimes words hurt than actions. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something that comes from within. So this is how you've been feeling. So words hurt. And so not only that, if we're talking about the weight loss thing and with gluttony and just overeating, when we were younger, mama allowed us to get seconds and thirds, and until sometimes we couldn't get up from the table unless we ate all of our food. You know what I'm saying? That is a lack of self-control. There is no need for me to go back for thirds and fourths and eat as much as you want. That's what she said. Eat as much as you want until until you're full, until you're satisfied. You know what I'm saying? You can get as much as you want. So there was really no limits when it came to food and spitting. There was really no limits when it came to like food and the limit and the amount that we had. No, we were able to eat as much as we want and come back as many times as we want. And then so, also we saw a lot of, my dad was an alcoholic, and my dad and my mom used to fight all the time. You know what I'm saying? They used to fight, fist fight, screaming and yelling and all of that. And I remember her putting us in a closet one day where they were fighting, put us in the closet and gave us food. So food is attached to, she also did that too because she's terrified of like lightning, thunderstorms and things of that nature. So I remember her being scared and putting us in a closet too when it was thundering and lightning and all that, and gave us food. And so food is connected to like feeling emotional, feeling sad, feeling happy, feeling, we would eat when we were happy, we were eating when we were sad, when we were traumatized, we were put in this closet, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody else remember, we were in this closet and we had food. And so food became something, it morphed, as you can see. But I'm working on it. Rome wasn't built in a day. But throughout my life, it has morphed into a problem. You know what I'm saying? These are things that the enemy was using throughout my life for it to become a problem. But when he failed to realize, I'm gonna overcome you. It might take a little minute. It might take a little minute because you're a stiff-necked devil, but I'm gonna overcome. I'm going to overcome. I'm going to overcome. And so it was things like that that I saw younger. You know, for her, there was never, when she passed away, even though she passed away young, there wasn't a legacy left behind. There wasn't any property. There wasn't, you know, any businesses. There wasn't, you know, nothing. She was the type of mom who was always on the county. And nothing against moms who was on the county. I'm just saying I want to do things different moving forward. This generation, my generation, me personally. She was always on aid. You know what I'm saying? Back then, it was you get paid on the 1st and you get paid on the 15th, and we always have food stamps. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen her work a job. You know what I'm saying? She never worked. She never worked. She was always at home with her kids. You know what I'm saying? A single mother, that's what she did. But we didn't see anything else. And I always said, well, you know, I want to give my kids something different. I at least want to try to, you know, create a business and be my own business owner and be able to have something to give the kids. You know what I'm saying? Make sure I'm in a good position where we can have life insurance. And when something happens to me, you ain't got to throw me a funeral because I done paid to live. I don't want to pay to die. Take the rest of the money, do whatever you want to do with the body because I'm going to be with the Lord. Do whatever you want to do with the body. You don't have to do no funerals, no none of that. Take the money, set it up, and do your legacy and do what you need to do as far as the business and everything that you want to. We're doing something different moving forward. We're doing something different moving forward, and that's okay. And whoever doesn't like it and whoever doesn't have a problem with it, that's on them. So these are some of the things that I was saying. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, have my kids in the house or we fighting and all that. Guess what? As I grew up and as the cycles and as I got into my own relationships and as I got into my own marriage, my kids saw us arguing. You know what I'm saying? My kids saw us arguing, raising our voice and yelling and fussing and fighting. My kids saw that. And so now here I am looking at the product of the choices and the generational choices and the generational decisions and the generational things that was said growing up. Now I'm looking at the product of this and I'm like, oh my Lord, I want something different. Oh my Lord, I want to see something different. Oh my Lord, I have to be the one to at least step out and try until my last dying day to do something different moving forward so that we can see something and experience something different. This is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. And I remember her telling me the story, a story about I had a trike. She said, you had this really red, beautiful trike. And the trike had these red and white streamers coming out from the handles. She said, and you would take this trike everywhere you went. She said, oh, you used to piss me off. You used to take this trike everywhere. You used to take a nap with you. You used to cover it up, put covers. You would have whole conversations with this trike. You would have conversations with this trike. You were talking to it, you know, and all of this stuff. She said, and I got so pissed off one day, I took the trike and threw the trike. You were screaming and crying and upset. I ended up giving you back the trike. And the Lord reminded me the other day in the room, just meditating, laying here, it was quiet. He reminded me of this story that she told me. And he said, it was me and my angels talking to you and ministering to you then. So if that's not Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts and the plans that I have for you, this is me as a little girl. Me as a little girl on a trike, baby. You ain't never about what, 3, 4, 5? On a trike, talking, having whole conversations. This with the Spirit ministering to me, raising me up, teaching me for what is to come. I want to do something different. I'm doing something different. It stops here. This is where healing begins. This is where you take full accountability for your actions. This is where you admit where you're wrong. This is where you grow. This is character building. It's not saying that everything is going to fall off and happen overnight, but baby, we're in the transformation stages. We want better. We want to see better. We want to do better. We want a better life for our children. And if that makes you upset, that's not my problem. And so, yes, I've experienced some things, 15 growing up, but there are a lot of things that mom did or she would embarrass us to in front of her friends. Like, like if you say something like, if she had company and you had to wash the dishes and you came in there and said, oh, mama, my head hurt. She'd be like, oh, you better head hurt your ass in there and go wash them dishes. And then all her friends and stuff would start laughing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, Why did you embarrass me like that in front of your company? You know what I'm saying? And I always said, like, if I had an opportunity and if the Lord blessed me to have kids, it's just certain things that I'm not going to do with my kids. It's just certain things that I don't like. It's just certain things that I didn't like growing up. You know what I'm saying? As far as relationships, choices, decisions, I want to break it now. I don't want to talk to my kids that way. Yes, I feel like if you beat your kids with cords, and back then it was okay, because guess what? That's what y'all did the century before, or not the century before, but the generation before. Whooping with stitching cords and all of this and big old switches off the tree and tearing the meat off your leg and all that. Y'all did that the generation before. And you don't know no better because you was just doing what the generation before was doing. And the generation before that was doing. But over here, me, Shantera, I'm not whooping my kids with no damn stitching cord. I'm not going out there and getting no big old switch. They got to pluck off the switch and all that and come down. I'm not doing that. Me. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I understand it. My kids will have been disciplined, but they have not been abused. That's not what I want to do. It's not what I want to do. And that's not making a judgment on anybody else. That's just saying this is what me and mine are doing moving forward. Breaking cycles. It's just that simple. We don't want to do that. We don't want to talk like that. We don't want to discipline like that. We don't want to sound like that. And so it takes somebody else to be raised up to break the cycle of what you guys have been doing generation after generation after generation, even with my mom. And I said, there was just some things that she did or, raised us. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that. And, as a child, she would always say, like, you so hard-headed, you never go by what I say, and you always want to talk back. You always got a question, or you always got a reason. You so hard-headed. My thing was I wanted answers, because she also said that I'm your mama. You do as I say and not as I do. And my question was, well, why won't you, you know what I'm saying? If I'm looking up to you as, my mom, my role model, somebody I love, care for, and respect, I'm going to want to do what you're doing. So why not do what you're saying in front of me instead of doing the opposite and then telling me to do something else? Like, you do as I say, not as I do. So, okay, you're doing it, but you're telling me not to do it. There's got to be a reason why you're telling me not to do it, but you're doing it. So my thing is, I want it to be a better example in front of my children. I don't want to tell you not to do something and I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? I want to try to be better. I want to try to do better. I want to try to be a better role model. I want to try to be a better example. And that's what I'm doing now. The next choices and decisions that I make is going to be the best. It's going to be God's will, because I see what me put my hands in and not waiting on God and all of the things. Everything came crumbling down. Everything came crumbling down. I'm looking at the product of a separated home. I'm looking at the product of, my kids having to be co-parented with somebody else. I'm looking at the product of this. It's absolutely mortifying. It's absolutely mortifying that my kids are not in my presence. It's absolutely mortifying that I have to trust somebody else to love and care for my kids as I would. It's absolutely mortifying because of a divorce and broken home. It's absolutely mortifying. It's absolutely mortifying what happened to me in my childhood and all that, trying to make me feel like my words didn't matter. I'm always, talking too much. No, I want to know why, so that I can make my own choices, that I can make my own decisions moving forward. And it may not be what you would have chosen, because based on what I'm hearing and seeing, I want to do something completely different. I want to do something completely different. I want my kids to see something completely different. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And so even growing up, seeing some things and how we were raised and taught and some of the certain cliches, that would come up, I'm debunking all of that in my healing process. And moving forward, there's some things that I'm doing different because the cycle ends. I'm breaking the cycles. It ends right here with me. It ends right here with me and my kids. And so we're moving forward. So she wasn't the perfect parent either. None of us are. None of us are. None of us have been. There is no manual to motherhood. There is no manual to fatherhood. But you learn, you grow, you gain the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and you have a relationship with the Father so he can teach you what it is. This is what he's been teaching me. This is what it is. Not that. Not that. My blueprint, my will, doing things my way, a solid home, a solid foundation built on Christ, non-toxic. All this separation and kids and divorces and here and there and here and there, that's not God. That's not God. These kids going through all of this stuff, these mental issues and all this and all that. This is, come on. Come on. We have to take full accountability of things that we saw, the things that we did, the things that y'all did. Okay, take it easy on yourself because you was only doing what they was doing. You only brought over how they was doing it. That only came over from generation to generation to generation to generation. And now it stops right here. Glory be to God. At least it stops. Glory be to God. At least it stops. And so that's what I wanted to say. You know, I'm debunking a lot of things and I'm been relearning a lot of things and doing things on my own timetable, my own accord, how I want to raise my children, what differences I want to instill in my children. Yeah, there's some things that I'm doing different. Glory be to God. And that's just what it is. And that's nothing to nobody else. It is what it is. And so, glory be to God, you guys. We are still Isaiah 25 for the rest of 25. And until the next time, inspire, be inspired. I love you guys. God bless you. Good day.